Alex couldn't sleep that night. He kept checking on Zara every few hours, watching her light patterns grow dimmer and dimmer. By morning, she could barely lift her head, and her beautiful glowing designs looked like dying candle flames. "We don't have much time," Alex said, sitting beside her bed. "You need to tell me exactly how this bonding ritual works." Zara's voice was so weak he had to lean close to hear her. "First, you must contact your leaders. This decision will affect more than just us. Your people deserve to know what you're planning." Alex hesitated. He knew she was right, but he also knew what would happen. The Space Command would probably order him to stay away from Zara, or worse. They might take her away for experiments. But keeping secrets felt wrong too. He activated the long-distance communication system and waited for the connection to Earth. After several minutes, the face of Commander Rodriguez appeared on the screen. She was the head of the Deep Space Research program and Alex's direct supervisor. "Alex, you look terrible. What's going on out there?" "Commander, I found someone. An alien. She's dying, and I think I can help her. But I need permission to try something that's never been done before." Alex explained everything, finding Zara, learning about the withering, and discovering the biological compatibility between humans and Luminars. Commander Rodriguez listened with growing concern. "Alex, this is way beyond your authority. You're talking about some kind of alien ritual that could kill you both. I'm ordering you to maintain safe distance and wait for the medical team. They'll be there in 6 days." "She doesn't have 6 days," Alex said firmly. "She has maybe 12 hours. "Commander, the test results show this could work. We might be looking at the first successful interspecies cooperation in human history. Or you might be looking at your own death." "Alex, think about this rationally. You've known this being for less than 24 hours. After the call ended, Alex felt more confused than ever. The responsible thing would be to follow orders and wait for help. But Zara would be dead long before any help arrived. Dr. Lisa Park, the station's medical officer who was currently on Earth, joined the next video call. She had reviewed all of Zara's test results remotely. "Alex, I've never seen anything like this," Dr. Park said, looking at her tablet. "Her cellular breakdown is accelerating. But you're right about the compatibility. The genetic markers are incredibly similar to humans. It's almost like our species were meant to connect somehow. So the bonding could work. Theoretically, yes, but we have no idea what it would do to you. Your body might try to adapt to match hers, or the process might reject her completely. There are too many unknowns." After the call, Alex sat in the empty station feeling the weight of the decision. Outside, the twin suns were rising again, which meant Zara had survived another night. But her time was running out fast. He found her awake but barely conscious. Her skin had lost almost all its blue color and now looked pale gray. The glowing patterns were just faint outlines, like old scars. "Zara, we need to start the ritual now, or it will be too late." She nodded weakly. "Help me sit up. The bonding must be done properly, or it will fail." With great effort, Zara began to explain the ancient ceremony. It wasn't just about physical contact. It required both participants to open their minds completely to each other. They would need to share their most private memories, their deepest fears, and their strongest hopes. The ritual has 3 stages. She whispered. "First, the sharing of past. We must show each other who we are through our memories. Second, the sharing of present. We must connect our life forces directly. Third, the sharing of future. We must choose to walk the same path." Together, Alex helped Zara move to the center of the medical bay, where there was more space. She guided him to sit facing her, their hands touching, even through her weakness. He could feel a strange energy flowing between them. "Close your eyes," Zara said. "Think of your earliest memory." "Let me see it." Alex concentrated on his childhood, playing in his grandmother's garden, learning about stars from his father. The day he decided to become a scientist. Somehow, he could feel Zara experiencing these memories with him, as if she was there beside him during those moments. In return, Zara shared her own memories. Alex saw her world, a planet covered in crystal cities that glow with the same light as her people's skin. He experienced her childhood among the floating gardens, her talent for creating art with pure light, and her growing frustration with the rigid rules of her society. The memory sharing was exhausting but amazing. Alex felt like he had known Zara his entire life. He understood her love of freedom, her artistic spirit, and her refusal to be controlled by others. Now comes the difficult part, Zara said, though she seemed slightly stronger after the first stage. We must connect our life forces. This is where the danger lies. She placed her hands on Alex's chest, right over his heart. Put your hands on my heart as well. Now, you must imagine your life energy flowing into me, and accept mine flowing into you. Alex had never believed in things like life energy or spiritual connections. He was a scientist who dealt with facts and data. But as he followed Zara's instructions, something incredible happened. He could actually feel something flowing between them, warm, electric, and alive. The sensation was overwhelming. Alex felt Zara's pain from the withering, but also her strength and determination. At the same time, she was experiencing his memories, his thoughts, even his fears about what they were doing. I can feel your doubt, Zara said, her eyes still closed. You don't have to hide it from me. I'm scared too. What if this changes me into something that isn't human anymore? What if it changes me into something my people won't recognize? We're both taking the same risk. As their life forces continued to merge, Alex began to feel strange. His vision became sharper, and he could see colors he had never noticed before. Zara's fading light patterns began to pulse more strongly, matching the rhythm of his heartbeat. It's working, she whispered, and for the first time since he found her, she smiled. But the process wasn't finished. The third stage, sharing the future, required them to make a commitment that would bind them together permanently. Alex, Zara said, looking directly into his eyes, if we complete this ritual, we will be connected for life. We won't be able to live apart from each other. Are you ready for that responsibility? Alex thought about his quiet life on the research station, his planned career path, his family back on Earth. All of that would change. But looking at Zara, seeing her strength returning as their bond grew stronger, he realized that some things mattered more than personal plans. I'm ready, he said. They completed the final stage of the ritual as the twin suns reached their highest point in the sky. When it was over, Zara's light patterns were glowing brightly again, pulsing in perfect sync with Alex's heartbeat. She looked healthy and strong, her blue skin radiant with renewed life. But Alex could feel that he had changed too. Colors seemed more vivid, sounds were clearer, and he could sense Zara's emotions as if they were his own. When he looked in the mirror, he saw faint glowing lines beginning to appear on his own skin. How do you feel? Zara asked, though she already knew the answer through their connection. Different, but good different, like I'm more than I was before. They had saved her life. But Alex realized they had also created something entirely new, a bond between species that had never existed before, and as he would soon discover, not everyone would be happy about what they had done. The communication system suddenly activated with an urgent message from Earth. Commander Rodriguez appeared on screen, but she wasn't alone. Behind her stood several officials that Alex didn't recognize, and they all looked very serious. Alex, the commander said, we've been monitoring your vital signs remotely. Something has changed dramatically in your biology. We're sending an emergency team immediately. Do not leave the station, and do not make any more contact with the alien. That's a direct order. Alex looked at Zara, feeling her concern through their new connection. Their ritual had saved her life, but it had also made them both targets. Their real challenges were just beginning. The next few days were the strangest of Alex's life. The bonding ritual had saved Zara, but it had also changed both of them in ways they never expected. Alex noticed at first when he woke up that morning. His eyesight was incredibly sharp, and he could see clearly in the dark corners of the station, where before he would have needed a flashlight. Is this normal? Alex asked Zara as they sat together in the observation deck. Watching the twin suns rise over the alien landscape, Zara smiled, her light patterns glowing softly with contentment. I don't know. no Luminar has ever bonded with a human before. We're creating something entirely new. But the changes weren't just physical. Alex found that he could sense Zara's emotions even when she was in a different room. When she felt happy, warmth spread through his chest. When she was worried, his stomach would tighten with anxiety. It was like having a second heart that beat, in harmony with someone else's feelings. "Can you feel what I'm thinking right now?" Alex asked. "Not your exact thoughts," Zara replied, "but I can sense your curiosity and wonder. And underneath that, fear about what's coming." She was right. Alex had been trying not to think about the emergency team heading their way from Earth. But every few hours, he received updates from Commander Rodriguez. The ship was getting closer, and the tone of the messages was getting more serious. On the third day after the bonding, Dr. Park called with concerning news. "Alex, we've been studying your medical data remotely. Your cellular structure is adapting in ways we've never seen before. Your DNA is actually incorporating elements from Zara's genetic code. Is that dangerous?" Alex asked, though he already felt the answer through his connection with Zara. "We don't know. You're essentially becoming a new type of being, part human, part Luminar. The transformation seems stable so far, but we have no idea what the long-term effects might be." That evening, Alex noticed glowing lines beginning to appear on his arms, faint at first, like the Luminar patterns on Zara's skin. When he showed them to her, her eyes filled with tears. "Alex, I'm so sorry. I never meant for this to happen to you." "Don't be sorry," he said, taking her hands. "I chose this, and honestly, I feel stronger than I ever have before. More alive, more aware of everything around me." But their peaceful time was running out. The emergency ship from Earth arrived days ahead of schedule, along with something Alex hadn't expected, a Luminar vessel that appeared on the station's sensors. At almost the same time, Commander Torres, the head of Earth's Alien Contact Division, was the first person to step off the human ship. She was accompanied by a team of soldiers and scientists, all wearing protective suits as if Alex and Zara were contaminated. "Dr. Chen," Commander Torres said through her suit's speaker, "you're under quarantine effective immediately. The alien is to be transferred to our containment facility for study." "Her name is Zara," Alex said firmly, "and she's not going anywhere. You don't have a choice in this matter. Our scientists believe you may have been infected or influenced by alien biology. You need immediate medical treatment." At the same time, the Luminar ship sent its own message. A tall, imposing figure appeared on the communication screen. Elder Vex, one of the most powerful leaders in Luminar society. His skin patterns glow with anger and authority. "The female called Zara has committed the ultimate crime against our people," Elder Vex declared. "She has polluted herself with alien essence and created an abomination. She must return to face purification immediately." Alex felt Zara's terror through their bond. "What does purification mean?" he asked. "They will try to sever our connection," she explained, her voice shaking. "The process usually kills both partners. They consider it better than allowing mixed bonding to continue." Commander Torres stepped forward. "We're prepared to negotiate with your people, Elder Vex. But first, we need to separate these two and understand what's happened here." "There will be no negotiation," Elder Vex replied coldly. "The female will be returned to us, and the human will be dealt with." That's when Alex and Zara discovered something they hadn't expected. When the soldiers tried to escort them to separate ships, both of them collapsed in pain. It felt like being torn apart from the inside. They couldn't be more than a few hundred meters apart without experiencing severe physical distress. "The bonding has created a dependency," Dr. Park observed, studying her readings. "Their life forces are now permanently connected. Separating them might kill them both." Elder Vex was not impressed. "Then they will die together, as is proper for those who violate the natural order." But Commander Torres seemed more interested in the scientific implications. "Dr. Park, what exactly are we looking at here? Is this some kind of alien mind control?" "No, Commander. From what I can see, this is a genuine biological adaptation. Alex isn't being controlled. He's evolving. And the alien, Zara, she's not the same species she was a week ago either. over the next few hours. Both groups of officials held urgent meetings. Alex and Zara were confined to the station's medical bay, with guards from both species watching them carefully. Through their bond, they could feel each other's fear and determination. "There's something I haven't told you," Zara whispered when they were alone for a moment. "I wasn't just a random exile from my people. I was part of a resistance movement, fighting against the old ways." "What kind of resistance?" "Luminars who believe our species should be free to choose their own bonds, their own lives. We've been hiding in the outer systems, trying to build a new society. Some of us have even been researching connections with other species." Alex's eyes widened. "You mean we're not the first?" "No. There are others, small groups of bonded pairs living in secret. But if Elder Vex captures me, he'll force me to reveal their locations. Entire communities will be destroyed." That night, Alex made a decision. He activated the station's emergency protocols and sent a coded message to Earth. "Request immediate political asylum for Zara under interspecies protection laws. Also requesting permission to leave the station and relocate to neutral territory." The response came back quickly. "Request denied. Both subjects to remain in custody pending full investigation." But Alex had one more card to play. Earlier, while studying the star charts in the station's database, he had noticed something interesting. There were regions of space that neither humans nor Luminars claimed, areas marked as hazardous or unexplored. "Zara," he said quietly, "what do you know about the Nexus sector?" Her light patterns flickered with surprise. "How do you know?" "About that place? I found references in some old navigation files. Both our species seem to avoid it, because that's where the bonded pairs go," she whispered. "The ones who refuse to accept separation. It's dangerous space, full of gravitational anomalies, but it's also free. No government claims it." Alex looked out the window at the two ships docked to the station, one human, one Luminar, both representing authorities who wanted to tear apart what he and Zara had built together. "How do you feel about taking a trip?" he asked. Zara smiled, her first real smile since the ships had arrived, through their bond. Alex felt her answer before she spoke it, hope mixed with determination and just a touch of excitement about the unknown. "The station has an emergency escape pod," Alex said, already planning their route. "It's not designed for long-distance travel, but if we can reach the Nexus sector, we'll either find sanctuary or die trying." Zara finished. "Either way, we'll be free." That night, as both crews slept, Alex and Zara quietly prepared for the most dangerous journey of their lives. They were about to leave behind everything they had ever known. But their bond had taught them something important. Sometimes the only way to save what matters most is to risk everything for it. In the morning, Elder Vex and Commander Torres would wake up to find their prisoners gone, escaped into the vast darkness of space where no authority could follow. But Alex and Zara knew that running away was just the beginning of their real adventure. The escape pod was barely big enough for two people, and it definitely wasn't designed for the journey Alex and Zara were about to take. As they quietly loaded supplies in the middle of the night, Alex couldn't help but think this was probably the craziest thing he had ever done. "Are you sure about these coordinates?" Alex whispered as he programmed the navigation system. Zara nodded. Her light patterns dimmed to avoid detection. "The Nexus sector is 3 days away if we push the engines hard. But Alex, once we enter that region, there's no turning back. The gravitational fields make it almost impossible to leave." "Good," Alex said grimly. "That means they can't follow us either." They launched the pod just before dawn, using the planet's gravity to slingshot them toward deep space within minutes. Alarms were blaring on both the human and Luminar ships. Alex watched through the pod's small window as the two vessels scrambled to follow them. But the little escape pod had a head start and was much harder to track. The first day of their journey was terrifying. Both ships chased them relentlessly, and twice Alex had to make dangerous course corrections to avoid being caught. But as they got farther from the research station, something amazing happened. The bond between Alex and Zara grew even stronger. "I can see what you're thinking," Zara said in wonder as Alex piloted through an asteroid field. "Not just feel your emotions, but actually see your thoughts about which path to take. Alex felt it too. It was like having a co-pilot who could read his mind when he zigged left around a floating rock. Zara was already reaching for the controls to help with the maneuver. They moved together like they had been flying as a team for years. On the second day, they lost their pursuers in a nebula cloud, but their celebration was short-lived. The pod's life support systems were failing faster than expected. The air recycler was making strange noises, and their water supply was running low. "We're not going to make it to the Nexus sector," Alex said, trying to stay calm. "We need to find somewhere to stop and make repairs." Zara closed her eyes and seemed to be concentrating on something. "There," she said suddenly, pointing to a section of space that looked empty to Alex. "Turn toward those coordinates." "I don't see anything there. Trust me. I can sense something. It's faint, but it feels like home." Alex changed course, and after several hours, their sensors picked up something incredible, a space station. But unlike any design either humans or Luminars used, it looked like it had been built from parts of dozens of different ships, all welded together into a massive floating city. "What is that place?" Alex breathed, before Zara could answer. Their communication system crackled to life. A voice spoke in accented English, a known vessel. "This is Haven Station. We see you're flying an Earth escape pod with luminar energy. Signatures? That's unusual. State your purpose." Alex looked at Zara, who nodded encouragingly. "This is Alex Chen and Zara of Luminar. Well, it's complicated. We need help." There was a long pause. Then the voice came back. Warmer this time. "Alex and Zara, this is Captain Ray Martinez. Are you by any chance a bonded pair?" "How did you know?" Zara asked in surprise. "Because you wouldn't be running toward the Nexus sector unless you were. Dock at Base 7. Welcome to the Sanctuary." As their pod was guided into the station's docking bay, Alex and Zara saw something that took their breath away. The people working on the station were like nothing they had ever seen before. Some looked human, others looked luminar, but many seemed to be a mixture of both species. Their skin showed traces of the glowing patterns, but in colors and designs neither Alex nor Zara had seen before. The first person to greet them was Captain Martinez himself, a middle-aged man, whose skin had faint blue tints and whose eyes glowed with a soft inner light. "Welcome to Haven Station," he said with a warm smile. "I'm what you might call a second-generation hybrid. My parents were the first human luminar bonded pair to make it to this sector." "There are others like us?" Alex asked, hardly daring to believe it. "More than you might think. Follow me, and I'll show you something that will change how you see the galaxy." Captain Martinez led them through corridors filled with the most amazing sights. Gardens grew in zero gravity, tended by people whose hands glowed as they worked with the plants. Children played games that involved creating patterns of light in midair. Artists worked on sculptures that seemed to be made of pure energy. "This is incredible," Zara whispered, her own patterns glowing brighter with excitement. "How long has this place existed?" "About 50 years, Captain Martinez explained. "It started with just a few runaway couples, but word spread through the underground networks. Now we have over 10,000 residents from dozens of different species." They entered a large central chamber where Alex met the station's leaders. Dr. Elena Vasquez was a human scientist who had bonded with a luminar researcher named Kale 30 years ago. Together, they had helped build this hidden society. "We've been monitoring the communications between your peoples," Dr. Vasquez explained. "Elder Vex and the Earth authorities are both very upset about your escape. They're calling you dangerous criminals." "Are we?" Alex asked. "I mean, we did steal a pod and run away." Kale laughed, his voice carrying a musical quality that was purely luminar. "We all did something similar. The question is, do you regret forming your bond?" Alex looked at Zara, feeling the warmth of their connection flowing between them. "Never," he said firmly. "Good," Dr. Vasquez said, "because what you've done is more important than you realize. Every successful bonding proves that our species don't have to remain separate and afraid of each other." Over the next few days, Alex and Zara learned about life in the sanctuary. The bonded pairs had developed new technologies by combining human engineering with luminar bioscience. They had created art forms that neither species could have imagined alone. Most importantly, they had built a society based on cooperation instead of fear. But their peace was about to be shattered on their fourth day at the station. The long-range sensors detected something that made everyone's blood run cold. A massive fleet was approaching the Nexus sector. Ships from both Earth and the luminar worlds working together for the first time in history. Elder Vex has convinced both governments that we're a threat. Captain Martinez announced at an emergency meeting they're coming to destroy the station. And everyone on it, Alex felt sick. This is our fault. They followed us here. No, Dr. Vasquez said firmly. This was always going to happen eventually. Our society has grown too large to hide forever. The question is, what do we do now? Some people wanted to run deeper into the Nexus sector, where the gravitational storms would make it impossible for the fleets to follow. Others wanted to try to negotiate, but Alex had a different idea. What if we don't run or hide? He said. What if we show them what we've built here? Prove that bonded pairs aren't dangerous, but actually make both species stronger? Zara squeezed his hand, her light patterns pulsing with agreement. Alex is right. We can't spend our whole lives hiding. It's time to show the galaxy that love is stronger than fear. The room fell silent as everyone considered this. They all knew it was incredibly risky. The approaching fleets had enough firepower to destroy Haven Station completely. But they also knew that running away wouldn't solve the fundamental problem, as long as their peoples remained separated by prejudice and fear. Bonded pairs would always be hunted. All right, Captain Martinez said finally, we make our stand here. But we do it peacefully. No weapons, no violence. We show them who we really are. As the combined fleet drew closer, Alex and Zara stood together on the station's observation deck, watching the approaching ships through the swirling colors of the nebula. In a few hours, they would face the greatest test of their short time together. But whatever happened, they would face it as one. Are you scared? Zara asked through their mental connection. Terrified, Alex replied honestly, but also hopeful. For the first time since this all started, I feel like we might actually change something important. Outside, the enemy fleet continued its approach, but inside Haven Station, thousands of bonded pairs from across the galaxy prepared to fight. The greatest battle of all, the battle for acceptance, understanding, and the right to love freely across the stars. The combined fleet arrived at Haven Station like an angry storm. Alex watched from the observation deck as hundreds of ships surrounded their home. Weapons pointed at the peaceful community they had built. Elder Vex's flagship took position directly in front of the station, while Commander Torres led the human vessels in a defensive formation. This is Elder Vex of the Luminar High Council. The communication system crackled. You have harbored criminals and created abominations against the natural order. Surrender immediately or face the consequences. Captain Martinez responded calmly from the station's command center. Elder Vex, Commander Torres, we welcome you to Haven Station. We invite you to dock and see what we've accomplished here. We think you'll be surprised. There will be no negotiations with traitors, Elder Vex replied coldly. You have one hour to evacuate all pure-blood humans and Luminars. The rest will be destroyed. But Alex had an idea. Captain Martinez, what if we show them instead of telling them? Let me and Zara broadcast to both fleets. Let them see what bonding really means. That's incredibly dangerous, Alex. You'll be making yourselves targets. We're already targets. Zara said, her light patterns pulsing with determination. At least this way, we can speak for ourselves within minutes. Alex and Zara were in the station's main communication center, broadcasting to every ship in both fleets. Alex looked directly into the camera, feeling Zara's courage flowing through their bond. My name is Alex Chen. 6 months ago, I was just a scientist studying rocks on a distant planet. Then I met Zara, and everything changed. Not because she controlled my mind or infected me with some alien virus, but because I chose to help someone who needed it. Zara stepped beside him, her hand finding his. I am Zera of the Luminar people. I was dying because of an ancient law that said I had to bond with someone I didn't choose, or face death. Alex saved my life by risking his own. What we created together isn't an abomination. It's proof that different species can work together. Instead of living in fear, on Elder Vex's flagship, the old Luminar leader watched with growing anger. But some of his younger officers were listening with interest, especially when Alex and Zera began demonstrating their abilities together. They created a light display unlike anything either species had seen before. Zera's natural bioluminescence, combined with Alex's human creativity to produce patterns of incredible beauty and complexity. The lights told the story of their meeting, their bonding, and the community they had found. This is what bonding really means, Alex explained as colors danced around them. Not control or contamination, but cooperation. We're stronger together than either of us could be alone. The broadcast continued for 20 minutes, with other bonded pairs joining them to share their own stories. Dr. Vasquez and Kale showed the technological advances they had made by combining human and Luminar science, children who were part of. Both species demonstrated abilities that surpassed what either parent species could achieve alone. But Elder Vex had seen enough. Destroy them, he ordered his fleet. This corruption cannot be allowed to spread. As the Luminar ships powered up their weapons, something unexpected happened. Several of the younger Luminar officers refused to follow the order. Elder, one of them said over the comm, "These people aren't threatening anyone. They're just trying to live freely. You dare question my authority? I question the wisdom of destroying something beautiful because it's different from what we expected." At the same time, Commander Torres was facing similar resistance from her own crews. Many of the human personnel had been moved by what they saw in the broadcast. "Commander." Dr. Park's voice came over the fleet communication. "I've been analyzing the biological data from the station. These bonded pairs aren't sick or contaminated. They've evolved. They represent the next step in both our species' development." "That's not the point," Torres replied, but Alex could hear doubt in her voice. "They violated direct orders and stole government property to save lives and build something amazing," one of her captains interjected. "Maybe we're the ones who need to change our orders." The standoff continued for hours. Elder Vex grew more frustrated as his own people began to question the mission. Some ships even broke formation and requested permission to dock with Haven Station. To see it for themselves, everything changed when a small Luminar scout ship, damaged and limping, appeared at the edge of the system. The pilot sent out a desperate, distress call. Her life support was failing, and she was too far from any Luminar world to make it home. Without hesitation, Haven Station launched rescue ships. Alex and Zera were among the first responders, using their combined abilities to stabilize the damaged vessel and guide it to safety. The rescued pilot was young, barely out of training, and she was amazed by what she saw on the station. "I've never seen Luminars and humans working together like this," she told Alex and Zera. "On my world, we're taught that humans are dangerous and unpredictable. What do you think now?" Zera asked gently. "I think maybe we've been wrong about a lot of things." The rescue operation was broadcast across both fleets, and it had a powerful impact. Here were the supposed abominations risking their lives to save someone they had never met, simply because it was the right thing to do. Elder Vex watched the rescue with growing conflict in his ancient heart. The damaged scout ship belonged to his own clan. The pilot was his great niece. As he saw her being cared for by humans and bonded pairs alike, memories began surfacing that he had buried for decades. In a private communication to his flagship's medical bay, Elder Vex quietly asked to review some very old, classified files. What he found there changed everything. 2 hours later, Elder Vex requested a private meeting with Alex and Zera, against everyone's advice. They agreed to beam aboard his flagship. The old Luminar leader looked tired and sad as he faced them in his private chambers. "There is something I must tell you," he said slowly. "Something I have hidden for 50 years. Elder Vex activated a holographic display showing a much younger version of himself standing beside a human woman. Her name was Dr. Rachel Kim. She was a scientist, like you, Alex, and I loved her. Alex and Zara stared in shock as Elder Vex continued his story. We met during the first diplomatic contact between our species. We worked together on translation protocols, and gradually we became close. We even attempted something similar to what you two achieved, a bonding between species. But when our peoples discovered our relationship, both governments demanded we end it immediately. What happened? Zara asked softly. I was young and afraid of losing my position in the council. I chose duty over love. Rachel returned to Earth, and I never saw her again. I spent the next 50 years convincing myself that I had made the right choice. That bonding between species was impossible and dangerous. Elder Vex looked directly at Alex and Zara, and for the first time, they saw tears in the old leader's eyes. But watching you two, seeing what you've built here, I realized I was wrong. Not about the bonding being impossible, but about it being wrong. You've achieved what Rachel and I were too afraid to try. The revelation sent shockwaves through both fleets. The most traditional leader in Luminar society had just admitted to a forbidden love affair with a human. More importantly, he had seen the error in the policies he had spent decades enforcing. Commander Torres requested her own meeting with the station's leaders. When she arrived, she brought surprising news. The Earth Council has been secretly studying your community for months. They're not interested in destroying you. They want to learn from you. The military response was Elder Vex's idea, and we agreed to help prevent a diplomatic incident. Over the next several days, everything changed. Elder Vex officially withdrew his order to destroy Haven Station and instead requested a full cultural exchange program. Young Luminars and humans began visiting the station to learn about bonded pair society. Commander Torres worked with Captain Martinez to establish Haven Station as the first official interspecies colony with full recognition from both governments. The station would serve as a research center, diplomatic outpost, and safe haven for anyone seeking to build bridges between different worlds. Alex and Zara became the first official interspecies ambassadors, helping to establish protocols for future bonding rituals and hybrid communities. Their love story, which had begun with a desperate plea to save one life, became the foundation for a new era of cooperation between humans and Luminars. 6 months later, Alex and Zara stood together in Haven Station's new diplomatic center, watching as the first official human-Luminar treaty was signed. Elder Vex, looking younger somehow despite his great age, stood beside Dr. Park as they formalized the agreement that would change both civilizations forever. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you had just followed orders that day? Zara asked Alex as they watched the ceremony. Alex smiled, feeling the warm pulse of their eternal bond. Never. Some rules are meant to be broken, especially when breaking them leads to something this beautiful. Through the observation window, they could see ships from dozens of different worlds arriving at Haven Station. The community they had helped save was growing into something even more amazing, a true meeting place. For all the species of the galaxy, their desperate escape had become a journey